All right, so that was the setup. This is the breakdown. Again, I'll put the link to this guy's channel below. Obadiah is Judgment, just for people if they want to go and dislike this video. I've already disliked it.
All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Barakakadash. Double honors all elders and apostles, the GMS that taught me this truth. Peace and shalom to my fellow Akin that taught me the truth, that I'm pushing this truth with all honesty and sincerity. Shalom. It's just going to be a quick lesson, man.
The only people that are honest and sincere, according to them, are the people that agree with their nonsense. You know, they have to be, doesn't matter what the shape is, you know, just do whatever you want with women, call them slut whore on the streets, you know, even if you have to get arrested or whatever. And I've seen videos of this, of people on the streets doing that. That's crazy, you know, again. So I just want people to know this is very cult-ish and cult in the negative sense.
Going into the Northern Kingdom, which I had done a lesson a few months ago, but I don't think I really harped out. But I had to bring it out for edification purposes, man, because we got a lot of false doctrine going on, man. All right, everybody want to teach the Bible, but don't want to let the people who are set up to teach the Bible, man. And that's the Israelites, man. You heathens don't have the understanding of the scriptures, man, because the Lord.
So I want people to know when we talked, he's like, again, I didn't record it because it was just a friendly conversation. I don't want to do that. I stuck to my word, and I always will. But he's like, I think you're an Israelite. Not that I care what anybody's opinion, whether I am or not. And I don't consider anybody's opinion on earth. I don't care, you know, at all, because of flat earth. Like, we've been lied to about our surroundings, everything. So why would I care about anybody's opinion? I don't recommend anybody else care. Don't care about mine. Go right to God. Go right to the Most High. He's going to tell you the same thing that he's told me, that Revelation 11 is literal and sequential, and it's going to happen soon, and that kind of thing. So I want people to know these people are just all part of that tribe, you know. And so the Most High, like I said earlier, will not set up people anywhere near disgusting as these people, like nowhere near. And so there's been a lot more judgment that's happened for people who've done and said a lot less than these Hebrew leaders. And so we know that One West and all these groups where all they came from are just, they're Masonic, you know. And so it's just obvious. And so I guess he's not figured it out yet, but hopefully he does soon.
They're not dealing with you, man. All right. Why would the Lord give you the deep mysteries and breakdowns of the understanding of scriptures, and he's getting ready to put your ass into captivity, man?
So it's funny. This is what we know psychologically. He comes and talks peacefully, you know, like diplomatically. We had a good conversation, you know, hey, like friendly stuff. Now he turns around and then is like, oh, you're going into slavery and, you know, captive. Like, I thought I was an Israelite yesterday. I guess today I'm not, you know, because again, these people are finding out that they've been lied to, and it hurts them. And, you know, that's, it should, but it should hurt them to the point where they look into what they've been taught, you know. And so God's spirit is everywhere on earth. And the Bible says this, in every nation. And so these people teach that with their mouth, but they don't actually believe that. So they really just think that a certain group of people who are just baboons, like I've just proven, and the example's on my channel, so I'm not just making it up, that they're the only people that God can share information with. Like I said, those vessels are disgusting. So it shouldn't be shocking to anybody with even like one functioning brain cell that God's not dealing with people in that way. You know, he is working. God, the Most High, interacts with his elect directly. Doesn't do it through like YouTube and like all that. He tells people things. He puts questions in our mind and then he answers them. So I had questions about how the gospel will be preached worldwide, and it was answered on that day. I had questions about the sequence of the end times, and it was answered that day. I had questions about the order of the book of Revelation, and it was answered that day. I had questions about when the elect were taken away, and you know, and then what that would in what sequence that would happen, and it was answered that day. And so that's the way God works, you know. And so that's the way it's been throughout our whole life. It's just now we're able to ask very, very specific questions and get very specific answers from the Bible. And so, you know, he's finding out that he's been lied to.
All right. So we're going to read into 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter and the 40th verse, going into the Northern Kingdom, man. All right. And their journey over here to the Americas, man.
So the reason that he's talking about this is I brought this up because at the end of Revelation 11, the two witnesses are killed by this beast system. And so, they just leave their bodies. That's how much the system doesn't care about those two prophets. the highest spirits on God's right and left hand side, on Christ's left and right hand side. And then there's an earthquake, and then the remnant are rejoicing, because they know that this is it now, that they're going to experience miracles, and then it's the end. That's what the Bible teaches. So there's a group of people on earth who, even after all this destruction and desolation and plagues, they're still on this earth, and so they're rejoicing. So they haven't received any judgment, and God's not angry with them or anything like that. And so that has to be a group that's in a remote part, because this is America about to get burned, and so there's an earthquake in America. And so a major one, the biggest one that's ever happened. And so they have to be off the grid. And so his position is that remnant is this group in 2nd Ezra 13, but that they're in America. And so I want people to know that's what he's gonna manipulate 2nd Ezra 13 to claim that this place, Arzareth, is America. And so that's what really all these Hebrews do, is like every place you don't know, just say it's America. It's like it's America, and all that kind of stuff. And that holds a lot. But this again is just literal and obvious what it is. And there's no way that this verse, this chapter is referring to America. It's ridiculous.
All right. So this is 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, who Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And you can read that in the book of Hosea, going into the northern kingdom, and as well as the 1st and 2nd Kings and Chronicles, man. All right. Let me see here. What was that? Salmanazar.
He brings up a good point. This is a nice thing about the amazing thing about the Bible, is that everything's consistent. Ezra is consistent with all the books, and I think that's amazing. 2nd Ezra is consistent with the book of Revelation, and I've gone through every chapter of that, and then shown that the sequence that I teach in Revelation is everywhere in the Bible. And I've done that. I've gone through literally almost every book and shown that sequence always holds, that it's always God's elect, it's always the mixed multitude, then it's always God's wrath. That sequence always holds. And so that's true. You will find cross-references everywhere.
So Azar carried captive of king of Syria, led away captive. He carried them over the waters, so they came into another land. All right. But they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where mankind never dwelt. And
I'm going to read this in a different translation, just to kind of support what he's saying, just to kind of put it from a different angle. I'll reread a little bit sooner. And when these things come to pass and the signs occur which I showed you before, then my son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man coming up from the sea. That's always first. The sequence is always the same. Christ's appearance, the elect taken away, the 2 witnesses now here, the mixed multitude, and then God's wrath. You will not find a contrary sequence ever in the Bible. I dare you to find me one. You won't. It's always the same. And when all the nations hear his voice, every man shall leave his own land, and the warfare that they have against one another. So the Bible's saying that all the fighting that's happening, they'll stop fighting against each other. These fake wars or real wars, whatever you want to call them. And they'll look up. They'll be like, whoa, we have an invader. So they're going to now collect their efforts and fight against God. And so that's what the Bible says. And there's clips, I think it was Reagan saying that, what if we had like a foreign invader and then we would, unify us? That's the final thing that will coalesce this new world order, is having a foreign invader. And we're told here that that's the Son, that's Christ. And so they're all going to work together. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as you saw, desiring to come and conquer him. So they're going to fight against God. This is what the Bible says. It's just like an Independence Day. But he shall stand on top of Mount Zion, and Zion will come and be made manifest to all people, prepared and built, as you saw the mountain carved out without hands. This is Christ returning with his elect. And so they're going to fight against God, and this is just going to be the wrath of God. He cleans up everything. And he, my son, will reprove the assembled nations for their ungodliness. This was symbolized by the storm, and will reproach them to their face with their evil thoughts and the torments with which they are to be tortured, which were symbolized by the flames, and will destroy them without effort by the law, which was symbolized by the fire. The law will exist forever, and so it always has to exist. And as for, this is the part that he's reading, and as for you, you're seeing him gather to himself another multitude that was peaceable. This is when Christ returns. I want people to know that, with his elect, at the end of the end, where he's just about to clean everything up. There's still people on this earth who are peaceable and keeping the law. These are the 10 tribes which were led away from their own land into captivity in the days of King Hoshea, whom Salmanasar, the king of the Assyrians, led captive. He took them across the river, and they were taken into another land. But they formed this plan for themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go to a more distant region where mankind had never lived. So they went to a very, very remote part of the earth, flat earth, that there at least they might keep their statutes, which they had not kept in their own land. Is anybody keeping the law in America? We have Tahar and all these idiots wearing a mask when they're prophesying, which is against the Bible. Job 9:24, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. The earth was given in the hands of the wicked. And so these people are just part of that system. They're just stupid. And so that's crazy. No one's keeping the law here in America, like at all. I mean, we're eating garbage food. The air is disgusting. Education system's a joke, teaching ball earth. Everybody's lying. Everybody's like, trying to make money, leverage each other, all that kind of stuff. No one has any idea what's going on. Everybody reads the Bible and just makes up stuff. 2 witnesses, no, that means 2 nations. No, that means like 10 tribes. They just make up like stupid things. So no, no one just reads the Bible and says what it is, and it's just crazy that this is the world that we live in. But that's insane for people to think that this is being fulfilled in America. That's crazy. And they went in by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River, for at that time the Most High performed signs for them and stopped the channels of the river until they had passed over. For people to know that's going to happen again, in Revelation 16. Near the end, this is the sequence when the 2 witnesses are here. 16:12, and the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So that Euphrates River is very, very important, and central to a lot of things that God does. Through that region, there was a long way to go, a journey of a year and a half. So they're in a really, really remote place. And that country is called Arzareth. Then they dwelt there until the last times, and now when they are about to come again. So they are now, this river is now dried up, so they're able to make this journey back. And so this is after the world has been wiped clean, and so this is like it says, when Christ's elect are returning, and then the whole world collectively fights against God. God is protecting them through that, and so they're not going to get touched. Then they dwelt there until the last times. And now, when they are about to come again, the Most High will stop the channels of the river again, like I read in Revelation 16, so that they may be able to pass over. Therefore you saw the multitude gathered together in peace. And so, but those who are left of your people who are found within my holy border shall be saved. Therefore, when he destroys the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he will defend the people that remain. So this is when God's killing everybody, but he will defend those people who remain, and that's the remnant, because they're on this earth and they're going to be right up until the end. And then, so we're told in Daniel chapter 12 that there's a very, very important 1335-day period, which is absolutely consistent with every book of the Bible, and then Revelation, where 1260 days is the 2 witnesses, and then they're killed, and then 30 days of God's wrath, and then 45 days of miracles for the remnant. And so this is what God tells us. And so these numbers don't mean anything to these people. They're just like, whatever, 1335. Tahar, when he did Revelation 11 breakdown, was like 1260. Okay, there's just a number next, and all that. They don't know what's going on. They don't know that God has told us, not just me, that 1260 just means 1260. There's going to be a time of 1260 days where 2 witnesses are prophesying in America. And so at the end of that, those 2 will be killed by this beast system, because they're not going to socially distance. They're not going to wear a mask. They're not going to listen to any police, anybody. They're just going to do the plagues in Revelation 16. I don't say just to trivialize it. That's their job. They don't care what people say. And the Bible says they'll be protected. No one can touch them. So have the Hebrews ever been protected like that? Have they ever altered the rain, and then turn blood into water and all, turn water into blood and all that? That's crazy. Those 2 people are Moses and Elijah. That's insane. And so we know these time periods now. They're not like just whatever, just put a number in there, 1260, 1290, 1335, just random and all that kind of stuff. So let me get that verse from Daniel 12, just so people know what I'm talking about the 1335. And so This is very, very important. And again, this sequence always holds, and so verse 11, Daniel 12:11, from that time the daily sacrifice shall be taken away. That's God's elect. And the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. So where's that coming from? Well, 1260 is in book of Revelation for the two witnesses. There's 30 days of this wrath where God is returning with his elect and then literally just fighting and cleaning off the whole earth. All the nations are just going to be destroyed. And everybody at that point will have the mark of the beast. And it says here, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. So now where's this 1335 coming from? But go thou thy way until the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days. So that's, again, another verse that supports reincarnation, that Daniel is being told he's going to be in the end times. How is that possible without reincarnation? Reincarnation is everywhere in the Bible. Done lessons on that, and I could populate that lesson with way more verses. And so I don't think there's any need to. When Christ points to John the Baptist and said, that's Elijah, that's Elijah. So either if you believe that or not, if you don't, then unsub, go away. I believe that, and there's other people now that receive that's just what it is. And it's an incredible thing. So blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. That's God's remnant. And so they're blessed because God's going to do miracles for them for 45 days, and so after that, it's over now. That's it. God's left-hand side has been wiped out. They've been tagged with the mark of the beast and been destroyed, and they're in all nations. And God's done now fighting. God will not teach people war anymore. It's going to be the kingdom of heaven where we're promised no pain, all that kind of stuff. And I've done lessons on Revelation 21 and 22. So that's the way the movie ends, and so I just want people to know the only thing I don't know, and I will never know until we see it, is when Christ returns with his two witnesses. Even Jesus Christ doesn't know that. Only the Most High knows that. But the Most High has told us this, which is a lot, because we know everything from that point forward in terms of the timeline and then what the purpose of it is. So God's elect are taken away because they're the truthers of all truthers. They're the ones who have more faith, and it's a gift for them, and that they've been chosen. It's not even necessarily like they did anything. And then 1,260 days of great tribulation with the two witnesses here, and then 30 days of God's wrath, and then 45 days of miracles for the remnant. And so that's what we're told. So anybody who's taking 2nd Ezra 13 and trying to think that person did a journey, a meandering journey over to America, is just literally out of their mind. And let's look at some of the language here as well. This is very important. I think that I just want to read it in 1 second, in just a different